I'm gonna go mute myself, but great.
Good morning, friends. My name is Mike Goss, and I'm happy to welcome you here this morning, those of you here in the meeting house and those joining us online as well. We're really happy that you're joining us today. If you are here in the meeting house, if you have a phone, if you wouldn't mind turning that off or putting it on airplane mode, that will help us with bandwidth for the folks who are joining us online. Again, thank you for being here. Happy that you're here. If you enjoy your time here, I hope you'll tell someone else to maybe come see us. Thank you.
Friends, please rise as you are able and join us in the singing of Come Ye Thankful People in Worship and Song, page 42.
friends, I have something to tell you today that I don't share with just anybody, and that is that I have a sort of mental health issue. It's self-diagnosed, by the way, but I checked in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, and I check off all the boxes. It says that this individual keeps an unabridged dictionary by his bed. This individual listens to the NPR program Away with Words every single Saturday. Got some fans here. Have you seen your mental health professional? This individual likes to say words like onomatopoeia just because of the way it feels in their mouth. This person was so proud when his son said, "Dad, I've found the girl of my dreams. I think I'm going to marry her. She knows the difference between there, and there." Yes, friends, I'm a word nerd. So when Phil told me today that his message is going to be related to entitlement, I immediately looked into what that word means and where it came from and so forth. People who are entitled think that they deserve special treatment, that they're owed things. They think that because they think they are important. Entitled is based on the word title, of course, which comes from a Latin word that meant inscription or heading, including like a sign above, a place where you bought goods or what have you. So a title, something that's above the head. Pontius Pilate ordered a title to be carved above Jesus' head on the cross to mock him. It said, "Jesus of Nazareth, the King of the Jews." A title means who you are. The word title also signifies ownership. Your car title, in a sense, puts your name on it. That's my car. I've got the title. When you buy title insurance for your home, you're helping to guarantee that the real estate has your name on it, not somebody else's. It's yours. Important people sometimes get titles like king or earl or pope or doctor or lawyer or whatever. Think they're important anyway. People who are entitled, again, think they're more important or more deserving than they really are. They think they own everything or should own everything. They're always expecting more, reaching out for more, demanding more. Instead of wanting or expecting more, however, what if more people were satisfied with enough? What if they recognize that I don't really need all of this? I don't need anybody else to feel less than so I can feel more than. Consider these words from Jesus, from Luke chapter 6, verse 38. "Give, and it will be given unto you, a good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, and poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you." Can you picture it? I picture like a measuring cup, but really they're talking about like a basket filled with grain and the like. Poured in, shaken down so it settles, pressed down, pushed down so you could put even more in there, and it flows over and into your lap, it says in some translations, into your bosom, it says in some translations. Some of the research I said says it's because they wore clothing that you had like a picture, like a toga, and you have your arm like this, and the cloth goes over and it creates kind of a pouch, and that became their pocket. How many people had a grandma who had an apron and she carried things around in that apron? It pours over and into that pouch, more than you could possibly need. Pressed down, shaken together, running over, and poured into your lap. Instead of entitled, what if more people saw themselves as gifted? Gifted with opportunities to share with others, to encourage and build up. It's that time now when we ask for announcements, and in a moment we'll be sharing joys and concerns. And for that, we turn first to the folks on Zoom. And if there is anyone on Zoom who has an announcement to share, if you just make sure that you're unmuted and share that with us.
Can I announce that a reminder that our week for helping Family Promise is the week of December 21st through the 27th of this month. This is Sue Walton of Outreach Committee. Thank you. Teresa will have the list up in a week or two so you can sign up for meals for that week.
Thank you. Anyone else on Zoom? If not, we'll open it up here in the meeting room, and if anyone has something to share, if you'll stand and a microphone will be brought to you, state your name and share the announcement.
This is Debbie Draper, and as you noticed, the famous book sale is here, ready to go. The books are $2 for hardback, $1 for paperback, and help yourself. There's a box on the table that you can put your money in, and it'll be up until about Christmas time, and the money goes to Patricksburg Elementary School, all the proceeds from that. So thank you all very much for your donation of books and for buying them.
Thanks. I'm Anita Kamek. I asked Jeff to send out an email yesterday, and this is kind of an announcement and a joy at the same time. So if you dropped off your compost bucket this morning, you saw I had a big sign out there that says, please use the other bin. So the bin that we've been using is full and ready to cook now. So we got to leave that one alone, and we're ready to start on the bin to the right. Has fresh straw in there. It's ready to go. So please be mindful of that if you are in the habit of dumping your own. So dump it in the new one now, which means that I scooped out a whole lot of finished compost the other day, and it's lovely stuff. We did such a good job. And so it's just garden gold. If you want some of that, it's got to be first come, first serve, because it's amazing how those giant bins of scraps, compostables, just decompose to not really so much, but it's beautiful what we have. But I do have about 3 half bird food bags full of compost ready to go. So if you have a container, let me know. We can go after meeting, and I brought my shovel so I can scoop some out. So just let me know if you want some. Thank you.
I never thought I'd get so excited about compost.
I'm here on behalf of the Director of Meeting Announcements, who is home with a cold today. First off, next Sunday is Fifth Sunday. We will have unprogrammed worship, followed by our midwinter pitch-in. And for those of you that are really fans of pitch-ins, announcement number 2, the following week is Snowflake Sunday. That's the 7th of December. It will include the candlelight service with Frank singing One Little Candle, and our Christmas pitch-in will follow. I will warn you, I'm thinking of getting together with Phil, and maybe sometime in the spring we have a month full of pitch-ins. Sounds like a good idea to me. And third, today, after meeting, we're having a pancake lunch. This is kind of a test run to see how it works, with the idea that we might use it for a more public fundraiser later on. At peril to myself, I'm going to be making the pancakes, and I want to know how the recipe works and if you have any other suggestions for making the whole thing go better. So, like I said, at peril to myself, feedback is appreciated. Please let us know.
And the day's proceeds will go to French peace teams and their efforts in the Ukraine.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
There you go.
Are there others?
Yeah, my cousins are about to get baptized, so I get to go.
In Ohio.
Yeah, in Ohio. So it's a long drive. And uncomfortable clothes.
This is Sydney Anderson. This week, PT came and they said, get up and walk to the corner of the room without the walker. And I said, can I do that? And he says, yes. And he walked beside me. And I then come back to the recliner and sit. And then he says, get up again, go to the door, go out in the hall, start down the hall, go at least to the bench and stop. I walked further than 4 times to that wall by myself with the PT guy. It was scary, but it's still in my realm. I will get there, and I think by Christmas I'll be able to just stand up and walk somewhere. Huge, big deal. So, thank you for your holding me in the light some more.
Congratulations on your progress, your confidence, and may it continue. Are there others?
I'm Sarah Lookabell. This announcement's on behalf of my sister, Dinah Geiger. She wanted me to remind you that December 14th, right after worship, is the cookie exchange. So if you want to participate, just bring 3 dozen cookies and head immediately to the kitchen, and they will walk around the island picking out cookies. And bring a container to put your cookies in, so you have something to carry them home in. And anyhow, if you have any questions, ask Dinah.
Mary Dooley. We talked about Thanksgiving Day in chat room, and one of the things that's happening today might be of interest to you is a webinar. This is the 6th annual Rethinking Thanksgiving webinar. It's at 4 p.m. Eastern today. It's sponsored by a number of groups. I got the information from SURJ, S-U-R-J, Standing Up for Racial Justice. So if you go to surj.com, you can get more details. The whole point is to try to deepen our commitment to dismantling colonial myths, uplifting indigenous rights, and honoring Mother Earth. Indigenous-led movements can lead a liberated future in these times of climate change, collapse, and rising authoritarianism. From Turtle Island to Palestine, colonialism is the problem and solidarity is the answer. There are 4 excellent speakers, and there will be ASL interpretation. Again, surg.com for more details. It's Rethinking Thanksgiving.
J.B. Simons. First of all, an alert about the cookie thing. The Cookie Monster up here is, that's you. Beware. A piece of trivia. Indiana is the only state that uses pitch-in for feeding and watering people. Okay. Just a piece of trivia. Heard it on my word. Yeah. My announcement is that today is also a writing group. 7 years ago, Phil asked if there's anybody that had an affinity to do something, and so we have been meeting every 4 or 5 weeks as a small group of 15. Still, there's about 8 or 9 hanging in there. And I have 115 memoirs I've completed. And so you don't have to have anything written if you just want to come and participate and by listening and making comments about those who come to share. It's enjoyable. So at 1 o'clock this afternoon, and a little study over there, you're all welcome to join the writing group. Beth would be amazed.
Oh God, we are grateful for the opportunities to think and to remember. And so, Mary Dooley, we thank you for reminding us to reflect deeply upon our cultural stories. Remember that what we have been taught may not be so. JB, thank you for reminding us of the importance of our stories and the importance of listening to the stories of others, that in the hearing and in the telling, we become more human. Thank you for that reminder. Michael, for reminding us that not everyone does things the way Quakers do, that there are people who baptize with water, and that our approach to other religions should be one of acceptance and gratitude for what they're experiencing. Thank you for reminding us of that. We appreciate it. Maria, for reminding us that life goes on, that birthdays are worth celebrating. Happy birthday, Jeff. And Laura, for reminding us that even our difficulties are opportunities to pivot. How important that is. That's my prayer. Well, I bumped into a man this week that I've known since we were in the first grade. A long time. We sat next to one another in Mrs. Mann's first grade class. And I can't shake the feeling sometimes whenever I see him and talk with him that we're still back in first grade and that nothing has changed. We're still 6 years old, learning our letters and our numbers and how to live with one another there in Mrs. Mann's class. Of course, that isn't true. We're not still there. We're both married. We have grandchildren. We've experienced meaningful change in our lives. But it's so easy to think nothing is different. So easy for our minds to run in the same old ruts. It's like driving down the road after a heavy snow before the plows have passed. Our minds slip into the well-traveled tracks made by previous drivers. I came home I mentioned to Joanne that I had seen my old friend, and I said, you know, that guy hasn't changed in all the years I've known him. And she said, are you kidding me? She said, when I first met him, he was pleasant. Now all he does is complain about everything, even though he has nothing to be upset about. He has a wonderful family. He's well off. He's in good health, but he's never happy. And when she said that, I thought to myself, boy, that sounds familiar. Where have I heard that before? And then I remembered she said the same thing about me just last week. It was an aha moment, one of those, an epiphany. And when she said it, I thought, she's right. The older I've gotten, the more entitled I feel, the more put upon and imposed upon I feel. And even the more, and I hate to say this, but even the more petulant I've become. The slightest inconvenience makes me feel as if I have been uniquely laden with the world's burdens. I blow up about trifling inconveniences I once would have just laughed away. We've been talking about the characteristics of flourishing and failing nations. What do thriving nations do that failing nations fail to do? Now, I'm going to refresh our memories. So far, we've said that flourishing nations acknowledge and address their historical shortcomings. They don't sweep them under the rug or put them out of sight and pretend they never happened. They acknowledge and address them. Flourishing nations ensure that all of their citizens have access to the resources they need to thrive. And then the last time I spoke, flourishing nations, there is a distinct and unbreachable wall between religion and government so that the ideals of democracy are not corroded by the abuses of religion. Today I want to say that flourishing nations are led by people who are wise, charitable, gracious, and thoughtful, and not people who, despite their privilege, are petulant, complain incessantly, who act as if they are entitled, who lurch from one grievance to another, whose lives are a litany of perceived injuries. I had a civics teacher in the 8th grade named Wendell Scudder, Mr. Scudder. I really liked him because in the summer times he ran the ticket booth at Westlake Drive-In. And if he recognized you, he would never check the trunk of your car to see how many of your classmates. He would just wave you through. He was just a really fine man, and he had this odd teaching theory. He believed that when books were read aloud, that we tended to retain more if we'd heard it said. And so he would have us go around the room in a circle. We'd always sit in a circle, and we would read the textbook or auxiliary materials that he would provide for us. And one day, it was my turn to read aloud, and I came across the French phrase, noblesse oblige, which I pronounced nobles oblige. And no one laughed because we all lived in Danville and none of us knew how to speak French, since the only person we knew from France was Louis Lebeau on Hogan's Heroes. Mr. Scudder stopped me and explained that it was a French term pronounced noblesse oblige, which meant nobility obligates. Nobility obligates. He explained that the wealthy and high-born have an obligation to act honorably and generously to others, an obligation. Now, the French didn't dream this up. The principle is found in the Gospel of Luke in the 12th chapter, when Jesus said, "To whom much is given, from them much will be required." That's noblesse oblige. It is the responsibility of privileged people to act with generosity and nobility toward those who are less privileged. When a culture forgets that, when the affluent and powerful neglect their responsibility to treat the less fortunate with charity and dignity, that culture will not flourish, but will fail. When those who are privileged become petulant and entitled, when they wish only to be served and never to serve, that culture will no longer flourish, but will fail. Write this down and put it on your refrigerator. Superior advantage requires from us superior kindness. Superior advantage requires from us superior kindness. To whom much is given, much is expected. Noblesse oblige. Entitlement and privilege are the enemies of noblesse oblige. Gratitude and generosity are its friends. So if you came here today wondering why we celebrate Thanksgiving Day, now you know. We practice gratitude in order not to become entitled, not to think privilege, favor, and advantage are our birthright, our due. Superior advantages require from us superior kindness. Ingratitude comes too easily and naturally to us. We slip too easily into the well-traveled tracks of privilege and entitlement. And once we are in those tracks, once we are in those ruts, it is so difficult to steer out of them. This brings us to our current dilemma. America is now in the grip of people whose sole objectives are personal privilege and public power. Noblesse oblige is a foreign language to them, an alien concept. What is telling about the release of the Epstein files are the names that populate the pages. The names of the privileged and powerful, politicians, presidents, a university president, royalty, writers, don't ever trust a writer, prime ministers, entertainers, bankers, government officials, CEOs, and billionaires, the 1%, many of whom knew full well the extent of Jeffrey Epstein's depravity, yet still joined their lives to his life, still curried his favor, still thought only of themselves and their vile appetites and no one else. It is the responsibility of privileged people to act with generosity and nobility toward those who are less privileged. When a culture forgets that, when the affluent and powerful neglect their responsibility to treat the less fortunate with charity and dignity, that culture is in dire trouble. For the health of a nation is not measured by its economic power, nor by its military might, but by the decency of its peoples. Friends, let us stand together and sing our closing hymn, number 52 in the green hymnal. We gather together. As we sing, let us gather food. So, Michael, can you come forward? Jump on that wagon, buddy. Jackson for helping lead worship today, friend. And Michael, thank you for mastering the wagon for us. Pardon me? You still don't know how to turn. Well, that is a common issue around this place. Well, this week I want you to urge to be a Smedley Butler. Who is Smedley Butler, you might ask? Smedley Butler was a Quaker from Philadelphia who had grown up in a wealthy Philadelphian family, and to his Quaker parents' chagrin, joined the army, where he exceeded and excelled because of his treatment of those who served underneath him. He was widely and deeply admired for his wisdom and his kindness. When President Roosevelt, FDR, was elected, there were those in this nation who did not like a man in the White House talking about opportunity for all and imposing taxes that would help the poor. And so they plotted against FDR, planning a coup which would be carried out by the military under the leadership of Smedley Butler, who they knew to be wealthy and thought he would join them in their effort, which he would have done except for one thing. Smedley Butler had been taught the importance of noblesse oblige. So rather than leading a coup, he went directly to the president and to the cabinet and reported what was happening, and it was stopped before it started. A man who knew his duty and knew the great privilege came great obligation and responsibility. So this week, be a Smedley Butler. And with the advantages you have been given, however large or small, understand that those advantages carry with it an obligation. So live with dignity, friends. Treat all with charity and grace and compassion. We are all of us children of God, no matter our pocketbook or power. Turn and greet friends.